Hi there, I'm Kevin Slater. I'm running for the 62nd District in the state legislation for the state of Utah. I got a new camera. I went to New York to visit my twin brother. I was there for about a week, and I broke my phone in the airport, so I came home with a broken phone. I haven't fixed it yet, so I decided it was about time I get a web camera. I haven't figured it out quite yet. It's brand new, out of the box, and I'm making a video. I think so. I am a Democrat in this race, which is unusual because there aren't very many of us in the state of Utah. I remember reading in BYU school newspaper about a decade ago that Utah County is the second most Republican county in the United States at about 85% registered Republicans. It's very hard for a Democrat to win anything in the state of Utah, especially in Utah County. That's not to say that there is no chance, of course. Last election, I believe, one of the representatives got 40% of the vote, so that's significant. I've also come to learn from a lot of people that I've talked to, especially teachers. I spend a lot of time around teachers because I teach myself, and I've learned from a lot of teachers, asking them that many of them register Republican because otherwise they don't have a voice, is what they say. Not that they agree with the Republican Party, but because they feel it's a necessity in Utah County to be able to vote and be heard, that they need to register Republican. So I believe there's always a chance to be elected in this district as a Democrat. I think it's important as a Democrat that we listen to our Republican neighbors and friends, and I have realized, listening to a lot of liberal talk shows and stuff over the years, that a lot of them are not listening to the arguments that are given by Republicans. So I think it's important that we discuss some of their things that they believe and why they believe them. I think the most important thing is they value personal experience a great deal. And talking with many neighbors, friends, family, they see events in their life, and they believe that those events are what guide them in making decisions that they make politically. One of the good examples I have, personally, this happened to me. I used to work at a grocery store. This was when I was a BYU student, and while I was working as a checker, I was walking on my way to work, and I met perhaps a homeless man. I'm not entirely sure. He came up to me and he begged for money. He said he needed it for bus fare, and bus fare at the time was $2.50. So I gave him $2.50. I saw him maybe a half hour later in my very grocery store where I work, and he used my own $2.50 to buy beer. And I'm not upset. I don't really mind. A lot of people would see that as evidence that we shouldn't give anything to homeless people or poor people because they're just going to use it for terrible things, and it's on us. If I give $2.50 to someone on the street, it's on us. We're to blame for giving that person that money, and I don't see it like that at all. The fact that I gave that person money, that's on me. What they do with that money, that's on them. It also is a personal experience. It's an anecdote. It doesn't translate to all people. I know, for example, throughout the world, we are experimenting with giving homeless people money in order to help improve their lives, in order to help try and get them out of the poverty that they're in and maybe find a home, or at least an apartment that they can live in. And we have conducted this essentially as this experiment, social experiment, in places in Canada, in Toronto, in New York, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Seattle, Washington, in London, in places in Scandinavia and Germany. They have simply given homeless people money to see what they do with it, to see if it improves their lives, and in most every case it improves their lives. They are able to get over addictions that they have, which make it difficult for them to get work. They are able to get into a secure location where they can live, and they can use that time and that safety that they have, being able to live in a house, in an apartment, that they are free to be able to pursue an education. A lot of people, when they're given money by the government, use that money to visit family and friends. None of these things are bad things. Does it increase addiction? I don't. I don't believe it does. We haven't seen that in the data. In fact, in many cases, it actually reduces their dependence on substances, because they're not as emotionally unstable, because they have someplace to live and they're not worried constantly about their next meal and what they're going to do to sleep tonight. And because of that, they become better people. So we need to be careful with how we use our personal experiences that we have when it is used to deny people services and help that they need in order to improve their lives. Now in Utah, we're lucky. We have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that can provide much of this need and much of this help that people get. I have very rarely heard of a person being turned away by the LDS Church when somebody needs help with an apartment, when they need help with food. The LDS Church is usually there to help them. Because of that, there's a lot of complacency about how we treat people that are in need in our state. And I think that there are improvements that we can do. I was homeless last year. I don't make very much money. I do have a job. I have two jobs, in fact. I have a job as an environmental scientist. I don't get very much work doing that because right now the interest rates are really high. And I have a job as a substitute school teacher. So I teach almost every day. I have a cold right now, which is why I'm not working today. It's unfortunate. But because of that, I couldn't pay rent, and I was evicted from my place. I was homeless for a couple of weeks, and I learned that there are very rare resources for helping people. My bishop was out of town, couldn't ask him for help. My family was unwilling to help me. I had a friend of mine that put me up on his couch, and I literally slept on his couch for weeks, living out of my car. All of that, and I have a job, and I have actually two jobs. So it's not like I'm being lazy and like I'm trying not to work. But the resources we had were very bad in Utah County. There was nowhere really for me to go. And in fact, I was passed around from one organization to another without really any help at all. Finally, I was able to borrow money from a family member and get into an apartment, which is where I'm living now. And I'm making rent payments on my own. I do earn some money. I do pay my rent. But I learned from firsthand experience that being homeless really sucks. And we don't have the resources that we should have for people. This goes along with, I believe the governor of Utah a couple of years back disguised himself as a homeless person and went into the homeless shelters and discovered that the homeless shelters we have, and we don't have any homeless shelters, by the way, in Utah County. There are none here. That the homeless shelters that they had in Salt Lake City were, there was sexual abuse going on, there was theft by staff members, there was drug abuse going on in the homeless shelter. It was a very terrible experience for them. And that's why most homeless people don't want to go there. There's a reason why there are tent cities in Salt Lake, and I've been there and I've seen them. Talked to homeless people before. And so there are things we can do. And one of the best things that we have tried in other cities is simply giving homeless people a place to stay. Renting apartments for them and saying, here, this is your apartment. I think we will eventually, as a people, we will have to solve this issue on a grand scale. But for right now, in the state of Utah, I think having a place for people to go to is one of the most important things that we need to look at and see how we can solve a homeless problem that is growing because the price of rent keeps going up. I originally was paying $350 a month for my place, and it went up to $600 a month. And when you're earning $1,200 a month as a substitute teacher, you're not really able to make many payments like that. It can be tough, especially if you get sick. I'm sick today. I can't work today. I was sick earlier. I get sick a lot because I'm with kids a lot. Kids carry sickness. It's a universal fact. So that's my video for today. It's about 11 minutes long. But I think more than anything what the point of this video is that we should not use personal experience to deny people services. That there is good evidence out there that homeless people and people in general are good people, and helping them out is not encouraging them to make poor decisions and their addictions and things like that. If we really want to solve addiction, denying people housing is not the solution for that. It doesn't fix anything. In fact, it makes things worse. So that's my video for today. I hope everything's good for you. Again, I'm Kevin Slater. I'm running for the 62nd District in the state of Utah for the state legislation. I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.